Hello, and welcome to Awkward Family Conversations, where we try to help millennials and Zoomers figure this whole thing out. I am joined, as always, by my Zoomer daughter, Addie. She and I had a great experience many years ago when she was still in high school when we traveled to New Zealand. We had a great trip. Her sister was doing a study abroad semester in Dunedin at the University of Otago. And we spent a little more than 2 weeks down there. And we did an awful lot of very interesting things. In fact, it's hard to remember exactly what was the most memorable part, but I think it was maybe the hot tub springs thing in Rotorua, where we had to rent bathing suits. We had our own little private thing on the lake, looking out in the dark over the lake in a natural hot spring. Well, it wasn't. The water was naturally hot spring. I think we had to sit in some shallow concrete thing or whatever, but it was very nice. It was a great trip, and we had a lot of interesting things. What do you remember most about that trip? What's your first memory that comes to mind?
First memory. The Shire was really fun.
That's yes, visiting
A lot of laughs.
the Hobbit set near Rotorua was trying to stay on the correct side of the road was also a challenge. Since they drive backwards down there. So.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I remember a lot of it. There was Queenstown was probably my favorite place we went. Just super fun vibe, little place, lots of fun stuff to do. Yeah.
Yeah, my screensaver on it comes up when I load up my machine here as the I think it's Wanakipi or whatever the lake is there by Queenstown, which is in the shape of a lightning bolt, was the background for earlier this week. And your sister and I were just talking about bungee jumping, which we did in New Zealand.
I do that
as well. So anyway, great trip. Hello, Ed.
Hey, Dad. I had a different piece of trivia today, but I'm going to switch it up because you inspired me.
Okay.
And the piece of trivia is that you do not like stopping to ask for directions.
Nope.
And I remember this because of the night when we drove into Napier.
Yes.
And we had already just gotten stuck in a thunder and a hailstorm in the pitch black mountain roads, driving on the wrong side of the road, trying to get into town. So after a very harrowing drive down, we made it in, only to realize that the map that we had picked up was like the major streets were labeled and nothing else was. And so I'm trying to piece together the map we have from the tourist stand and the very small MapQuest map of how to get to the hotel. And somehow we ended up going on the wrong, where I thought we were going the wrong way on a road. And you were like, no, we're going the right way. We're going towards town. And I was like, well, why don't we just stop and ask someone at a gas station? And you went, do you want to go in there and ask them? I said, no, do you? And you said no. And we was like, okay, we're going to figure out the directions. And we did. And I was right.
And we did. It was a couple of, it was a weird thing where they had some sort of triangle, the intersection.
It was not a grid going on, and we did not have sufficiently labeled maps.
No, but we did find our way eventually.
We found our way.
We also had an excellent Indian meal that night.
We did. And we wanted to take our naan to go, and then remembered we have to stand up and ask, and then we did not take our naan to go.
Yes, at that
Sometimes
trip. That
Mom
was
wonders how I ended up with social anxiety, and I'm like,
yep, there it is. Very good. Well, what are we talking about today, Addie?
Well, today we're going to talk about milestone birthdays and events. It's the big deal about that.
Yes, our season 4 is all about transitions and major things in life. And one of the things that it'd be kind of interesting because it's not something I really myself experience in a lot of ways, but there's milestones in everybody's lives, and they tend to be common ones. Well, many of them are common ones. Some of them are tied to things that happen to you, and those might happen at different points in time, but an awful lot of them are tied to specific birthdays, for instance, or sort of religious or social ceremonies and things. So birthdays be 21st birthday is often a big one. Some of the other events that you might have would be some sort of confirmation or bar mitzvah, those kind of things that happen, and they tend to happen for people about the same time of life, oftentimes. And so there's often a shared experience that people have around those milestone events. Yeah, so I have to say that I tend not to put a whole lot of emotional energy into even a regular birthday for me. So it's going to be a little hard for me to talk from personal experience about some of this stuff, because I don't really have the same. I tend to focus more on, everyday things. Just take more of my energy than special events, but still, we can talk about it. You've had some milestone birthdays.
I've had some. I've done very lackluster things for them.
I'm not sure that's entirely true. Just depends
I-
how you want to look at it. I was there for your 21st birthday.
It's true, and I spent the night throwing up from medication.
Yeah,
So
true.
that was fun.
But you still, we went out. You had your first legal drink.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it an avocado martini or something related?
It was an avocado martini. Or avocado margarita.
Margaritas, right?
Was so
Yeah.
good. They were so good.
So you have had milestone birthdays. I think probably the first milestone that we're all kind of aware of is when you become a teenager, turn 13.
Yep.
And again, in some, like in the Jewish traditions, that's the time for your bar bat mitzvah. But just even so, just being a regular teenager sometimes.
Your first Jupiter return happens around then too.
Your first Jupiter return?
Yes, where Jupiter returns to the same place in the sky that it was when you were born.
Oh, interesting. That's on a 13-year cycle?
Mm-hmm.
I see.
It's Jupiter is the planet of expansion and growth, so usually signals your returns there is going to signal entering a new stage of your life. So it's interesting that it happens first when you're around 12, 13, next when you're around 23 to 24, and so on.
Yeah, every 13 years. 12, 14 years. That is interesting. Then, of course, 16, at least in the US, that's when you can get your driver's license. That's kind of a big milestone deal. More for some people than others. I'm not sure your cousin Karsten really took a whole lot of, didn't care a whole lot when he turned 16, since it took him till his 20s, I think, to get his driver's license. But nevertheless, for a lot of people, 16 is a big deal. 18, get to register to vote, and I suppose register for the draft as well.
I didn't have to do that.
You didn't? No, I did. I was the first, actually, when they reinstituted the registration for the draft. Of course, they haven't done the draft since Vietnam War, but they did implement registering for the draft. And I was 1960. My year of birth was the first year that had to register for the draft. My friend Jay, who was born in December of 1959, did not have to register, but I did when I turned 18. So. Yeah, but mostly it's because you can vote. And if you happen to live outside the United States, oftentimes that's a place where you can actually go to a bar now and drink legally.
True.
In other places, not in the US any longer, which of course then means 21 is when the next sort of milestone happens.
Drink and smoke legally.
You can drink, smoke. Basically at 21, you have all the rights and privileges that you will have for the rest of your life.
Except you can't rent a car.
Well, you can, but not for everybody. I mean, it's possible. There are companies that probably let you do it, but not in any of the national chains. That's true. But is that a thing? Is that 25 a thing for?
I think so. It's not like that big of a deal, though. It's just kind of like, oh, cool. I don't even know if it's still as easy to do that or not. But
yeah, well, just trying to find a rental car now. Post-pandemic has been a challenge. Rental car prices are up something like 50% relative to what they were before the pandemic, because rental car companies liquidated their fleets because it costs money to maintain them, and if you're not renting them out because people aren't traveling, then no reason to.
We'll be renting a car for at least a day in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a fairy tale themed amusement park an hour north.
Grimm Brothers?
What?
Is it a Grimm Brothers thing?
No, it's not that. It's like Dutch folklore.
I thought I guess the Grimm Brothers are German.
Yeah. I don't know much about it, but I saw it and I was like, that's cool. We're doing weird
We're gonna
Amsterdam.
go.
We're doing weird Netherlands stuff. And Eric was like, I'm in.
All right.
Like, cool.
Good deal.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've had your 13th birthday, your 16th birthday, your 18th birthday, and your 21st birthday.
Yep,
Was there anything exceptional about any of those milestones?
honestly, I don't. I think my 18th one, I was at a swim meet.
Hmm.
So I didn't really do anything. I think I drank a whole thing of orange juice that day and then had the lifeguard for 2 hours, and that was kind of bad. But I went out with the swim team for like dinner, like we always do. I didn't do a whole lot with my friends for my birthdays. Like my birthday traditions were either with you guys or they just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So honestly, like the 18th birthday wasn't like, I don't remember really any of my birthdays being significant until the 21st birthday when you guys were in town and I ended up sick and then it rained all the night. We were gonna do something fun. So we just kind of hung out and I was asleep by 10 both nights. And I was like, well, that is not how I saw my birthday going. And weirdly enough, my first time that I had a birthday party, like as like late teens to adulthood of like, I know what I want to do for my birthday. And it's just a process of making it happen, was my 22nd birthday party.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because I was finally just gonna like be in Nashville and Callie was in town, and I had my birthday was a Sunday, so we all went down to the lake. It was beautiful weather. We got a bunch of alcohol and floaties and hung out at the lake, and it was a dang blast. And I was like, "This is you telling me birthdays can be fun?"
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember my 16th birthday. I think that may have been our surprise birthday. That we did a thing where people were doing surprise birthday parties, and mine was always late. I was always the youngest in my group, and so almost always. Dave Williams was younger than me, but his birthday was November. But mine is September, and so I was always kind of late in the year for my classmates. And I think that was the year. I know that I gave myself a surprise birthday party. Where everybody else would get everybody in the room, and then the unsuspecting birthday person would walk in and be surprised. I had everybody come to my house, get in my room, and I was in the closet. And my friend Jay, who knew about it, opened the door, and I walked out and said, "Surprise!"
Oh my
It
God,
annoyed an awful lot of people, and I think that was my 16th.
that's awful.
It was fun, and it was. Yeah, it was summertime because my birthday was before Labor Day, and back in the day, back when I went to school in the U.S., they didn't start school until after Labor Day usually. So I think we went up into the mountains and had a picnic for that, but I don't remember for sure. My 18th birthday I was living with my neighbors. I had just got back from Chile because my family had moved down there, and so I was pretty much on my own for my 18th birthday. I don't remember doing anything. Maybe going to McDonald's or something with some friends, but no recollection of that. And my 21st birthday, I mean, when I went to college, the drinking age in Wisconsin was 18, so 21 really didn't mean anything. And I don't remember my 21st birthday either. And of course, after you're 21, there really isn't any sort of societal markers. It's just more sort of what how you react. And a lot of people, when they hit their 30th birthday, they kind of feel like that's the start of their serious adulthood. A lot of people want to be in relationships, marriages, and families. If they don't have kids yet, then it's soon in the offing. That wasn't the case for me. I didn't get married until I was 29, and so the next year was 30. It was kind of like, all right, well, I'm already married, so we weren't talking about kids at that point. So there wasn't any of that. 40 never really mattered to me. Didn't bother me. 50 didn't bother me. I didn't really give it any thought to 50 either. And 60 was probably the only one. That was just a couple of years ago where I was kind of like, 60. That's starting to sound a little bit older. Maybe I should figure out what I'm going to do with my life at that point. So, but my reactions to these kind of milestones are they're not really very strong. They're not really.
Yeah, I have trouble with the one day aspect of it, just because like the nature of waking up on your birthday, you don't feel different than you did the day before, but you do feel different than you did the year before on your birthday. So the 1 day thing has always been like weird for me.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't until I reconciled like, oh no, you can reflect because like change doesn't happen in a day, but I am a lot different at this age than I was at my previous age, but
Yeah.
just doesn't feel
Yeah.
that way. It's
I
gradual.
imagine that yeah, I mean, when I think about it from my perspective, I don't really, even year to year much, doesn't really feel very different to me.
It's true.
But when you're 20, in your 20s, a year is still a pretty good percentage of the life that you live.
That is true.
And you are changing, pretty dramatically, even year to year. But, for me, I kind of think of myself at 50, even 10 years ago, and I'm like, I'm doing different things for sure. Certainly I have some different perspectives, but by and large, most of my life experiences are just kind of reinforcing what I already know. I mean, I've accumulated a bunch of life experiences that have sort of formed my perspectives and opinions, and that doesn't mean that they're not changeable, but it does mean that each new data point isn't a significant contribution to the overall accumulation of data points that I have, and so it's not moving the needle much in how I think about my life and how I think about what I believe to be true and important and priorities. And so, it's like grains of sand. I've got a lot more grains of sand in my little pile than you do. And one more day or one more year doesn't materially alter everything that's kind of come before. Whereas I think in your much smaller pile of grains of sand, one grain of sand makes a lot bigger difference to the total than it does for me. And so I think as I've gotten older, like I say, the milestones have never really been something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about or organizing my thoughts about or reacting to. But I do know that people are. I know many people who do spend a lot of their time and energy thinking about their, where they are in their lives, and are they, they've got plans to be. That's another thing is we've talked about, the importance of living an intentional life, or not the importance of it, but the benefit of living an intentional life. And I haven't to this point, not much. And so it's kind of hard for me. I mean, if I put in something like, oh, by the time I'm 40, I want to have written a novel. That's something by the time I get to 40, I'm like, ooh, okay, I nailed that one, or gee, I didn't do that. So you have more of a reference point to, I guess, your progress towards goals or things that you want to experience. But I traveled a lot as a kid. I've been around, seen a lot of the world, and I didn't really put time. I didn't make my goals time bound. And not that I didn't have many goals, right? I'm not living an intentional life, so I was just kind of taking things as they come. And for those things that I thought I wanted to accomplish, I didn't really put any time limit or an expectation. I never set an expectation around, okay, by the time this much time has passed, I will have done something. And I never did that. So I don't really have a lot of reason. I haven't established any milestones of my own in my life that I wanted to accomplish. And so as a result, this, I do have to ask, what's the big deal about milestone birthdays and events? Because I'm like, I don't know, what is the big deal about it? And yet I do know a lot of people put a lot of effort and time and link things that they want to accomplish with time goals, time-based measures that then, they can assess more easily, I guess, what that looks like and how that comes, they're able to assess, I guess, whether they're making progress or not towards those life goals. What about you? Do you set milestones? Do you do time-based kind of things? Do you?
Not really necessarily with my age. Yeah, I kind of figure that stuff will happen when it happens, but there's stuff that I want, and I'm kind of taking steps always to make it happen. But I feel like the part of me that's like, oh, I want to have written a book by 30, I'm just going to put it off, and then it's going to be 28 and I'm going to be like, I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, I don't put it on like years of my life so much as just like, I want to have a manuscript by the end of next year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not, I'm not, I don't, the birthday thing is nice only in that like it's a fun day to kind of reflect on like how far you've come and how much has changed. Um, but that's just kind of it. It's not like that special. It's just kind of a day of the year that's good to reflect for me.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing about milestones is that, it's what changes one day to the next, right? I mean, when you're 15 and 364 days, you're not eligible, you're not eligible to drive a car, but at 16, you can get a driver's license. So that's a change. That's a pretty significant change. 18, when you get a chance to vote, that's a pretty significant thing. 21, when you get a chance to drink and go places.
That was nice.
That matters.
That was a very nice change.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about the fake IDs or the stress of being caught with a beer or something.
We're just like, where do I go?
Yeah.
You can just go anywhere.
Yeah. After that, it's more about your own expectations. There's these social conventions that happen around your earlier milestone birthdays, but then when you get to 30 and 40, typically it's the 0 years that people tend to think, oh, I'm in my 30s now, and many people have these expectations that of their lives and how they expect their lives to unfold, and that comes up in those with those kind of when the odometer turns over and you get a new first digit. It's an indication of time passing and a chance to reflect, like you say, on just on a decade way, what's changed in my life, and am I making progress towards what I want to do? I tend to think more of we're talking about milestones just within the calendar year. I tend to do that more around that New Year's timeframe. And then I think about the year. In fact, I plot my year. I mean, I'm a planner, so I get my year calendar out even before the year starts, and I'm thinking about, okay, when are we? I put all the family birthdays down. Significant events like our marathons that I want to run. I put those in the calendar so that they're represented. Any vacations or trips that are planned, I get those into, because I like to plan out the year and have a sense for how it's going to unfold. But it's also a time for me to reflect on, am I doing the kind of things in my life that I like to do, that give me satisfaction and that reward me for the investment of time and energy that I'm making in them. But they're not, to me, they're not tied to my
age.
My age or just my progress age. It's not my chronology. It's not tied to my chronology. It's really more about the calendar.
I definitely do more reflecting on New Year's. Like, that's the day that feels more like the time to turn over a new leaf and everything.
Yeah.
The time to reflect on what you did in the last calendar year.
Yeah.
But that is definitely that I spend more time thinking about my life choices on New Year's than I do on my birthday.
Yeah, it's definitely true for me. The birthday, I mean, even this last birthday, your mother said something like "Happy birthday" to me mid-morning. I'm like, oh yeah, it is my birthday. So I'm not even really consciously aware a lot of times of my own birthday, which is fine. I'm not complaining or patting myself on the back. It's just kind of the way I'm just kind of wired that way. I do wonder though, if maybe, I'm very, I don't know if I'm a pleaser. I'm certainly non-confrontational. I think I am more of a pleaser. I tend to emphasize other people over myself a lot of times.
You Virgo.
Well, I don't know if it's a Virgo thing. I think
it is a Virgo thing.
That I emphasize other people more than myself. Okay. But I think it's a personality thing, and it's the way I've been raised. And I tend to value others, or I prioritize others over myself, maybe is a better way of thinking about it. And I do wonder if maybe my lack of milestones is because I don't spend much time thinking about me. I spend a lot of time thinking about other people and what I can be doing for them, and how I can facilitate their experiences or help other folks accomplish what they want to, as opposed to spending time thinking about mine. So I don't know, that a random thought there that occurred to me, that maybe because I'm other oriented, that might explain why my own personal milestones mean so little to me. so I don't invest a lot of energy there. Not sure if there's anything there or not, but it's a thought.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. That mom is the milestone celebrator in our family, for real. I remember around my makeup graduation
Yes.
from college, I like mentioned to my coworkers the day before, like I was going to be out of like not working for the weekend. They were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, it's my college graduation, so my family's in town." And they were all like, "So you're what? You did what?" And I'm like, "Well, I graduated a year and a half ago, but COVID."
Ceremony, yeah.
But like everyone was like, "Oh my God, are you so excited that you get to have a graduation?" And I was like, honestly, no, I'd rather do like a lot of other things with my 3 hours on a Friday morning, but my parents will be in town, so that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But it definitely, like Eric and I both agreed, like the event itself was very like, we're not doing this because we want to be here.
Well, so that's an interesting thing because that's college commencement, graduation, high school graduation. These are milestones.
I'm sure I would have felt more attached because the high school graduation was a really emotional, surreal moment.
Yeah.
And that felt important in the moment. And I'm sure I would have felt the same way about college commencement had it happened when I graduated.
Right after you had the
because I felt all
experience.
kinds of weird right when I graduated, just because I was like, oh, I guess that's done now. And then it was just over and nothing happened. But at the same time, like I moved and adopted a cat and started a new job. So I had like already marked it with my own like respect. Like I'd closed that chapter in my mind. So it was weird to have everyone else be like, isn't it so nice to get closure? It's like I did that a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice, but you're right. The emotional impact isn't there because it didn't happen immediately after you completed this 4-year journey.
Yeah, I'm definitely like, I like ceremonies and rituals and everything, but they're not like that important to me. Like I've been thinking a lot about marriage actually this year.
Really?
Well, and just like about if I like what the point of getting married to someone is. Like I want to have a partner. I want to have a life with a partner and I want a monogamous partner for life. But it was kind of like throwing a huge expensive party for some tax benefits feels weird because neither of us are doing this for religious purposes. So I spent a lot of time thinking about that because Eric was kind of in the same boat of like, yeah, it seems kind of weird, like to have this really emotional day when neither of us really likes talking about our emotions in front of other people. Like, why would we do that when we both want the part that comes after? So both of us were kind of like, that's a weird ceremony to have. But I came to the conclusion that what I want to do is just have a party to tell everyone, like, hey, I chose my person. It's this one. Get used to it. Yay, we're all happy about it for a day. But like, a lot of the ceremonies that are like traditionally important in lives, I don't know if it's a growing up in California with a witch mom thing or what, just like never have been that important. Like it's definitely been a lot more, I guess, accomplishment based for me. Like I care about when something happens. Like I finished college felt good because I finished college, not because I walked across a stage.
Well, walking across the stage symbolizes the transition from.
I didn't need it though. Like it symbolizes the tradition, but like not to me because I had the transition.
Well, yours is unusual because it came a year and a half after you actually graduated and left and was working and everything else.
Yeah.
But
like even with the high school commencement event, like it wasn't that event itself. It was the saying goodbye to everybody and picking up all my stuff from school and like realizing I wasn't going to be in those halls again. The next chapter is going to be different, less than like the event, the ceremony itself.
And you don't think the ceremony itself contributed to that sense of finality?
I'm sure it did.
Yeah. I think so.
But it also like I would have found that sense of finality without the ceremony too.
But would it have had as much? Yeah, would it have been as clean and would it have been as impactful? I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't know. College was like
Well,
I don't feel like my graduation from college was honestly any lackluster than anybody else's. It just kind of like it looked different, but it felt the same to me. Like I had this same transition, just looked different.
Yeah, but you didn't have the celebration. You didn't have the family in town right when you finished to kind of acknowledge and say this is it. I'm not arguing.
It's the family in town. Like, is this the part that matters to me? Maybe honestly, it might just be that you've rubbed off on me in this way. But like the big like hoopla, the silly little hats you have to wear for graduation, because honestly, what kind of headgear is that? Who was like, that looks awesome, you look so sick right now, you look scholarly, as it's terrible look, and they're annoying to put on and I hate them. That hat being present is not going to change my experience of graduating from college. My parents being present is, but like the parts of the like rituals and ceremonies that people typically associate with birthdays and events are not, it's not like the rituals themselves that matter to me. Like I don't want to do the big white wedding with a ceremony and then the reception after, because it's just like, it's not, I have no reason to do that. I would rather do something that it means something to me and my partner than go.
Yeah, well, I mean, so your California witch mom was all up for the party south of Market for our wedding. And ultimately we ended up in a fairly traditional wedding ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I also just like, it's so embarrassing to love a man, honestly. I don't want to do that loudly.
Well, you love who you love, and then why would that cause you shame? You should be proud of yourself and your emotions. And
we accept him. If I must like men, at least it's Eric.
Yeah, but one of the interesting things that we talked about with the officiant at our ceremony, she was a woman minister that we were introduced to. And one of the things that she talked about was, one of the things about the ritual is, and it's just not you. I mean, you're the reason that people are there, and the focus is on the couple being married. But a lot of the power in the ritual comes from the people who are attending your ceremony, thinking back on their marriages, because the words are often the same, and the ritual is the ritual, and so just the procession and the presentation of the rings and the vows all resonate, because many of the people at your wedding will have had that experience already themselves, and it's a way for them to reconnect to their vows and the commitments that they made in their ceremonies. And that's the power of ritual, is that it's not just about the people who are the kind of the guests of honor. It's about the entire community coming together. The other thing that she said that was interesting is that that our wedding was the only time that this group of about 95 to 100 people were all going to be together. They'd never been together before, and they would never be together again. And that's absolutely true for a wedding our size. I mean, maybe if you have a family wedding where it's only 15 people, you'll still get it. But people move on, they leave. Some people couldn't come the next time we got together. Maybe somebody who didn't have a partner and does have a partner now. My grandmother died not too long after we got married. Within a couple of years, she had died, so she wasn't going to be saying anything. And so there's a couple of reasons those kind of milestones matter. It's that resonance that the ceremony and the ritual has for the people who are there and attending, even if it's passive for them. The wedding is for you, the commencement is for you, but it also resonates with the people who are there. And it's a way also to celebrate and to mark a transition from one stage of life to another. And these are all really important. Things, more important to some people than others, because I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate, because one, that's what I do, but two, it's because I happen to agree that a lot of the times I don't get a lot of emotional succor from ceremony. As I've already talked a little bit about, the milestone things kind of eludes me, the reason for them, or the emotional impact that people have for them kind of eludes me a lot of the time. I'm much more about consistency, day in and day out behavior. And, one day isn't really that traumatic. When my birthday isn't any different than the day before or the day after. So why should I really behave any differently? Not everybody believes that. Your mother is a great example of somebody who really does look forward to her birthday. It's a time to be celebrated, and she loves the attention that it brings as people come out of the woodwork. For me, it's just meaning I have to answer a whole lot of Facebook congratulations, which is time consuming.
I like it because it means that I can like make my friends hang out with me.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know.
It's kind of, I guess, like the reason why I've had so much fun at my birthday for the last 2 years I've done the lake thing, because that was just such a blast, is because like it kind of does have that same vibe of what you were talking about at the wedding, where like it's all of my friends from like vet med, college, random places about Nashville, and occasionally someone who's in town visiting for my birthday too. Like it's a group of people that have never been together before, aren't gonna be together again unless they all happen to be perfectly in town like next year on my birthday, which unlikely.
Right.
But it definitely just like is a nice time to be in like a curated environment by me, where like I'm the common thread.
Yeah. Well, that sense of being the center of attention is also not something that you or I really put a lot of stock in, but somebody like your mother does. She loves people to pay attention to her. And
Well, I like being the quiet center of attention. Like I like people being at an event because it's me that they're celebrating, but I don't want to have like toasts made,
yeah.
because then
I'd rather just be one of many. I don't really need to be the one that everybody's looking at, which is weird because I mean, I do make a scene and I do make my presence known when I'm in groups. I talk a lot and I'm loud and I've got a loud voice, and I like to crack wise, which brings attention. But really, my preference is to be one of many, and I don't really want to be called out or you know pointed out as anything special. And part of that's because I think at my core, I don't believe I'm especially special. So why should I feel like I deserve the time and attention that people would give me? But it's also true that I'm a pretty egalitarian guy, I think. And being one of many works, feels a lot more comfortable to me.
I just tend to step into leader positions in groups. So I do just tend to be the person getting a lot of attention. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten used to it and I've grown to like it, but I've grown into my Leo nature.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I often am the guy who's organizing stuff. I mean, that's never more clear than with the, kind of the running group that, that I participate in. And it wasn't something that I consciously set out to do. It was just, I was the one who needed the structure and felt like, okay, I'm going to do this for me. And by the way, I'm going to share this because that's kind of what I do. I try to include people. And so I'll just share, hey, this is what I'm doing. Maybe you can get some benefit from this. And it just kind of evolved into, well, I'm the guy who sets the workouts up, organizes the workout plan, communicates it. And that's just a role that's fallen to me. So I do take leadership a lot of the times in the same way that you do. And it is obviously something I enjoy because I keep doing it. So it's not like it's not anathema to me. It's not uncomfortable. But at the same time, I try not to tell people what to do. I struggle with that. I don't like to tell people what to do. Part of that's that other orientation. Part of it's I don't want to impose because I'm a Northern European. very reserved. But part of it is too that I truly believe we're all kind of equal when, there shouldn't, let me give you all the information to let you choose. I really believe very strongly in personal choice and personal freedoms. And I don't want to impose my views and my decisions on you. Morally, ethically, it just doesn't feel right. I feel like you need your own agency. And I'll give you all the information I have, and I have a perspective of what I think would be the better decision. But I don't begrudge your choice and your ability to make those choices. And when I say you, I mean the generic you, not you, Addie, just other people. I mean, I want other people
because I know that you can make the best decision for me.
Well, I have a perspective that's informed, but I can't make the best decision for you.
I know I'm making a joke.
Yeah, you're the one who can make the best decision. But I'll have an opinion on it and happy to share it, but don't have to and I'm not obligated. But I really do believe that we all should make our own decisions and be free to do that. And so I don't really like any kind of imposition of decision on other people, except for, kind of more extreme circumstance. But regardless, it's, there's a lot of reasons for me when I'm in my groups to try to get people together and do things. But leadership comes out in a lot of ways, and I tend to think about it as well, when I talk to people that I work with, there's kind of positional authority, which is I'm in a hierarchy and I'm your boss, and therefore I have authority to tell you what to do. But to me, that's a weak authority. I don't like that. I much prefer the expertise, the authority based on expertise. I can tell you how to do something because I know I've done this before and I know how this works, and I'm in a better position to make this decision than you are because of that expertise and my life experiences. And that to me is very powerful. The authority that is rooted in experience and perspective. I mean, I'd much rather have. I think about it. My Uncle Jim. You met my Uncle Jim at your grandparents' 50th anniversary party. I think it was your 50th anniversary party when we were in Rockford, and dressed up and went to the Dells. I think that was their 50th. Anyway, you met your Uncle Jim, my Uncle Jim. That's your grandmother's brother. He's a high school dropout. He's probably never gone farther than 100 miles outside of Rockford, Illinois. I don't think. Maybe he's been up into Wisconsin to do some fishing or something. He's not a particularly bright guy, and he certainly isn't educated. Whereas I am, I'm probably above average intelligence. I've been college graduate. I've worked in many different corporate environments as well as small businesses. I've got a wealth of experience. But I'm telling you, if you need to get a tractor to run, you don't want me in there. So even though I may have, in any in any company, I would probably be in a manager position, and he would not be, and I would have positional authority. But I'm telling you, if you wanted to get a tractor to run, you don't want me in charge. You want him in charge. And
so what I'm hearing is I should not call you when I'm having troubles on the weed farm, and should call my great uncle Jim.
Exactly, because he that's what he loves. He loves farming.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you how to plant plant wheat, soybeans, corn, whatever. I couldn't tell you any of that. I couldn't tell you how to manage a steer, chickens, pigs, all that stuff. I mean, Jim, trying to keep the pickup truck running. No way. And so that authority based on expertise is really the thing that I really honor. And I have no idea how we got down this rabbit hole, but
I don't either, honestly.
Conversationally, as we talk about milestones and how we kind of manage through our lives here. But anyway, it's the getting back to our topic of milestone events. Birthdays, etc. I think I'm not speaking about positional authority or expertise authority. I have neither here. So I have positional authority as your father, but I have no expertise authority because I don't really think about milestone birthdays or events as being particularly noteworthy. So
my conclusion about it is I like the attention when I ask for it, but I don't want to just be given it because I'm turning a certain age.
Yeah. You need to feel like you've earned it, or that it's coming to you. Maybe that's where we were talking about. Maybe that's where that whole line of thinking came about. Have to go back and listen to the episodes to see how exactly we got to my Uncle Jim and me. As, who you wanted to do what. On the other hand, if you want to do an activity-based costing model, you do not want my Uncle Jim.
Yep. Next time I need to do that, I will hit you up.
Well, you laugh now, but that might be something as you do your wheat farm that you're going to need some help with. So
it's possible. That is possible.
Financial.
I mean, I do like non-ironically hit you up for financial help all the time. So.
Well, and that's because I have some expertise in that area.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
Yes,
that
it is very helpful.
That is something that I do. That is something I do.
Never
Very
forget.
well. I think we've exhausted our topic for today.
All right.
Is there anything else to discuss?
Not that I can think of.
All right. So we have no research to do other than to figure out how we went down a rabbit hole in the middle of our conversation about events. There was no. What's that?
One final concluding thought is that the biggest milestones that I celebrate every year are my cat's birthdays.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In this household, it's your mother's birthday. So
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Mine is Claire's coming up in May.
yeah,
Yeah. She's going to get a new sister for her birthday. She's going to be so happy.
yes. Yeah, she's the oldest, right? Because
Yes.
Debbie and Missy are both young cats.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. Claire's about 9 years older than Deb.
Yeah, okay. Very good. All right. So no research and no swear words today. I think this is the second episode in a row where there was no Venmo.
We need like a 2 episodes without incident sign.
a little counter in the background.
Yeah.
And
Just
2
as soon
episodes
as
without
somebody
swearing.
Move it back to
Yeah.
0.
Yeah, we actually don't swear. We've had 4. This is our 45th episode. 45th? 35th.
Yeah.
Our
10.
35th episode.
35th, yeah.
episode. And we have only sworn maybe a handful of times on it. We're not doing too bad. Not doing too bad.
Woo.
Go team. Go team. So what are we going to talk about next week, Ed?
Next week we're talking about what's the big deal about changing your job or career, which I guess is kind of something I do know a little bit about.
Something you're going through right now, as am I, frankly. We'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one, because we definitely have different thoughts on work.
Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but yeah.
All right. Well, in the meantime, you can find us on awkwardfamilyconversations.com, on Facebook at Awkward Family Conversations, and on Twitter at Awkward Family C1. That's where you'll see us post our pictures.
Yeah.
You can also find the video version of episodes on YouTube at, shockingly, unprecedented Awkward Family Conversations, and on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts, wherever you like to listen, you can find us there. But we're better in person. Let us know what you think and keep the questions and suggestions coming. We'll see you next week. I love you, Dad.
I love you too, Ed. See you next week.